Yeah, I guess maybe the question is, what do we want to share today about us gathering in 6 weeks,
Yeah.
in London together? And yeah, I mean, I'm noticing I'm smiling and just very excited, um, having paid all the bills for us to be there. It's like we're definitely going now. So
We're in.
who's coming with us, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say one of the things that I'm excited about, we have been in conversations over and over again about, okay, so what is this? What is it really? What's underneath it? And what's underneath it? And the last time that we talked, this piece came out about it's not just about content. Like all circle trainings do content, and yes, that's included in it as well. But our main focus is capacity. It's like what's needed to actually hold these spaces or be in these spaces with loved ones or coworkers or friends. Um, what capacity, what can we do to grow our own capacity to hold more and more? And I think that's a big piece for me. We don't have a lack of information, we have a lack of embodiment. And I think um, we're a culture that is really good at imitation instead of the integration. And so the capacity piece brings us more and more into the integration.
Nick, I know you're outside the Tate Modern with all the noise and hustle and bustle. But yeah, any reflections?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and really just to build on what you said there, Quanita, there's so many of us, we'll all be coming together from lots of different places. We have lots of different skills, but the ability to show up and be in my favorite circle is always the kitchen table, of course, but to sit at that kitchen table and stay with people when things get really kind of a little bit sticky or a little bit difficult. And, it requires us to be, mindful of what we hold in ourselves and to see the other person really clearly and see them in this wider context that sits behind them, with all their family stuff, if you're coming at it from a systemic family lens, but the wider context that they sit in. And so when you sit in a circle, it's the individuals that are there, but the room's kind of crowded beyond what you can see, right? It's kind of beautiful.
I'm just gonna bring in the bit before we had this recorded bit of the conversation. I really loved what you said, Quinita, about tomorrow isn't promised to any of us. So what are we putting our energy into each and every day? Mm. And it reminds me of another conversation I had with a friend last week, about how many conversations left do you have with your parents, if they're still alive, and just this kind of focal point of, if you're um the frame for this was, rather than trying to work out who's more right than the other person or trying to fix or solve or any of those things, it's like, can we just be with each other, you know, in dignity and in this kind of, you know, unnecessary, not to make resolve be the focus. Like, there's nothing to like out of that polarity of like, you know, it being right or wrong, but it's just like, yeah, can I just be with you? And so I really feel like part of what we're um practicing and bringing for people is a space to just be with each other in our resolvedness, in our unresolvedness, in our stories with our ancestors, all of that.
And also our differences, right? We don't all need to sit in the room and think exactly the same things. In fact, it's a really dangerous. So there's lots of people walking past. It's a really dangerous part of I think where we are societally is that we become more and more kind of entrenched with people that think in the same way we do and stay with that kind of mindset. To sit and be with people where there's a real kind of difference in opinion or a real difference in feeling, even it's a real skill set.
I think it's also an opportunity to just slow down to with each other and with ourselves. We're so busy. We just like keep going and going and going and going. And the systems that we're creating that are supposed to help us out actually are making us more busy. And it's intentional, that it helps to feed capitalism. Because, Jamie, I remember you speaking in one call we had about how the busyness, then we have to pay out for services because we're too busy to do it ourselves, you know? And so this slowing down, I say the busyness, and like even now with the Zoom meetings back to back to back that started during COVID, it's quite violent. And so how do we slow down and, take a breath and just it's a form of care for ourselves and with each other, learning, relearning, I think. How do we really be human with each other?
I'm going to share one more thing for me, which is I've been thinking about softness and what it like the amount of space and time required for a body that's used to constriction and focus and drive and movement and like holding it all in to actually like come into contact with a sort of degree of softness that allows you to untighten yourself. And for me, thinking about this, not it's not just a training, right? It's a learning experience of like a field of us sitting together, unwinding, unwound, and creating that capacity to be with discomfort and the uncomfortableness that you get when you're not just with people like so that we can really listen to each other and feel it and allow it to just be felt and run through our bodies in a healthy way.
I also like what Nick said around the piece about the differences. I'm coming in as a Black woman from the US into this space in this time in history and what all that means and entails and is carried in my body. And you all are coming with all that is in your body and the meaning of that and what we can learn in that diversity. As we're dealing with more and more complexity, the diversity helps us to include more truths in our assessment of what is true and our discernment, right? And so that ability is so important right now because it's not that what we're holding isn't necessarily true, it's just partial. And so, how do we grow our capacity to hold more and more?
Anything else to add, Nick, before we say thank you to all of the lovely people who might be listening to this? And I hope this, provides some context for us and who we are and what we care about, and actually how much we adore each other. I think that is also part of the vibe here.
Yeah. And I want to say,
It's ridiculous, right?
I want to say thank you. And also that, I like the and easy. And so no, just because we're doing deep work, sometimes I think we think it has to be all serious and stuff all the time. But we would like to invite you all to join us in just the fun of it too.